Hello everyone, Pelitum here. Welcome back to the A through Z playthrough. In today's video, we have landed on Uther, the Lightbringer. Well met. He is one of the supports that I've always struggled with because I feel like he really has to pick and choose who he heals and when he heals them. He received a rework back when Heroes 2.0 was launched. I believe that was April. And that made the style of playing Uther even more pronounced. So not only do you have to wait to heal someone because of your long cooldowns, but when you do heal them, you need to make sure that you're healing the person that can benefit from his new trait, which is a two-parter now. It's a two-parter trait. So he has Devotion. Heroes healed by Uther's basic abilities gain 15 armor for 2 seconds. This is a way of mitigating damage after his long cooldowns. So you kind of need to keep that going all the time if the person is about to take damage. And then the second part of his trait is the Eternal Vanguard. Upon dying, Uther becomes invulnerable for 8 seconds, and he can continue to heal up his allies. Once again, spreading more armor so they take less damage. So not only is he a very slow, methodical healer now, but he's also one that can be used to prevent damage from happening in the first place to a lesser extent. So every time we heal someone, they're going to be taking 15% less healing. I've just struggled with him though, because to me, he's always seemed like less of a playmaking hero. You know, like Lucio can hop up in someone and displace them big time. Rhaegar, prior to the nerfs that we're seeing, could dive in and execute a target. Tyrande can set up stun combos, but Uther is just kind of like, hey, I'm Uther, and I'm going to make sure you don't take too much damage. So in that way, yeah, I've always sucked a little bit with him, but we're going to try him today nonetheless. And we're also going to talk about these support nerfs that just happened. The Supportocalypse, or whatever people were calling it.
The light abandons no man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves on Tomb of the Spider Queen today. At level 1, most Uther players would go for Wave of Light. Damage or heal heroes 60 times with Holy Radiance. Increases the duration of devotion by 0.5 seconds. That means that the armor effect that you're giving your allies lasts a little bit longer, and you can kind of mitigate damage for a little bit more. Now, his Q ability has a 12-second cooldown. His W ability has a 12-second cooldown. So there is a lot of time spaced out in between each of these abilities. But another thing you have to worry about on Uther is the fact that he spends so much mana doing this, 90 and 70, and we only have 500 mana at this level. So I'm actually going to try out Hammer of the Lightbringer. I haven't taken it recently. When the rework for Uther happened, he did get 3 quests at level 1, so we have a few options for what we could do. I think the enemy team will actually be up in melee range fairly often with that Malthael, and I wanted to just try to get as much mana back with that auto attack as we possibly could. Like I said, I don't know if it's going to be that great. I don't know if it's going to be the proper way to play Uther or anything, but with the support changes, I think it opens up our options for what we may be able to do on these characters. So I know that the supports in general got a 5% nerf across the board to their health and health regen. Uther was not affected by those changes, though. Neither was Stukov. They were untouched. Well, if there's Sergeant Hammer in the lane, I can't really hit him. I thought it was a spin of friendship, but then they attacked me. Oh, you broke my trust. So I'm thinking if I just auto attack stuff, I'll be able to get mana back and stay in fights longer. That's where I'm going with this. And then once our quest is done, it lowers the cooldown on our Hammer of Justice, so maybe we can actually stun people more often. Anyway, back on supports. Uther did not get nerfed with the health thing, but he was affected in some other ways. So health and effectiveness and healing weren't the only things that were changed. They also took away a lot of the lane clear from support characters, because characters like Rhaegar honestly had some of the best clear speed on giants in the game. They could clear waves no problem. In fact, in some cases, you could only pick Rhaegar as your lane clearer, and it would be totally okay. Like, your team wouldn't be that bad off. And Uther kind of had a lane clear talent where he just kind of stood there and fire radiated off him. We can pick that up at level 4 still to see how we like it. It benefits from attacking heroes, so maybe we're just going to walk in and attack some heroes this game. But it's not going to be quite as effective as it was before. Decent stun on Sergeant Hammer there. So that would be Holy Fire, deals damage to nearby enemies. Deal 50 damage per second to nearby enemies, and then when we attack heroes, it stacks up and gets a little bit higher in damage. So, the main thing Blizzard wanted to do this year, right, in 2017, was they wanted to add in new support options for players, but also make supports feel more unique. If you pick a Malfurion, for instance, you should be picking that Malfurion because of the strengths he brings to a team, not simply because you need a healer, and, well, he was the one that wasn't banned. They are also trying to accomplish the same thing with tanks, trying to make it so there's just not a flavor of the month tank, and you're picking tanks based off of what your team needs at any given time, which, again, is a good idea. It's a good idea. But supports were the strongest thing in the game. They really were. Nothing can drastically change the outcome of a game quite like a support can. They enable people to make plays they would not be able to do otherwise, and you could say that is the same for tanks as well. I guess my Steam's making noise, I'm sorry. You can say that is the same for tanks as well. A good mosh pit can change a game like no other ability in the game, right? But Uther's ability to mitigate damage now is all based on his ability to kind of keep people alive and stagger the armor effect as much as possible, which is so odd. Which to me seems like he needs to have a second support on his team, which is what the support nerfs were trying to take away. But I guess you could say that for a lot of characters in the game. The weaknesses that these characters have and the things that make them unique, Uther's being the extremely long cooldowns, the 12-second cooldowns, and the armor buff that lingers after, those things being unique are also their biggest weakness. So the fact that I can't keep a team alive through, you know, by doing a lot of healing in a short amount of time to multiple peoples on the team means that a character like Lucio or a character like Alexstrasza maybe can come in here and kind of fill in those gaps a little bit. Here, let's see how we can trade. I actually don't know. He's going to get a lot of healing from this. Let's go increase Devotion Aura versus disabled targets. That's what I would normally go, but they actually don't have any. They don't have any crowd control. So my level 7 talent tier doesn't do anything. This only works if targets are disabled. This only works if targets are disabled. And Hand of Protection is a cleanse that only works if targets are disabled. Well, that's fucking awkward. Yeah, I was trying to keep him in, I promise. There's the stun. Good gank, team. Good gank. So, it's kind of a weird position to be in. So that's why I'm like, well, if we were playing Uther this way in the double support meta, maybe I could switch him up now and go for an auto attack or something and try to do something different. That being said, we do have two supports here. We definitely still just have two supports here. Kharazim down to the bottom lane can do whatever Kharazim can do, you know? And he'll only make me a better support from it because I can mitigate more damage for that Kharazim to then heal through with his AoE healing. Or if he went damage build, I can enable him to dive deeper into an enemy team. So, at the beginning of the video, I said that Uther's kind of that character that I don't think can make plays himself. And I do think that's true, and I'm going to stand by that. But if we get a Dragon Blade Genji or something, he is able to go so much deeper with Divine Shield and do a shit ton of damage with that in a way that he wouldn't be able to do otherwise. I'm just going to let him know that my heals are on cooldown. So he can allow other people to make plays really, really well. He could set other people up for plays like nobody's business, but himself is where he has some trouble. He went for X-Strike, so I don't even think I'm going to bother going for Divine Shield. I actually think Divine Shield would actively hinder our ability to land Divine Palms. So we're going to go for Divine Storm. This is an AoE stun that's going to be around our character. We might be able to lock down some people a little bit more. Maybe this will add some playmaking potential for me here. So if the enemy team walks up, if they overextend, if they do whatever, like this guy right here, we can stun again, and then hit him with the W. That was kind of good. That was kind of good. Back in the early days, I'm out of mana. I need to hit more stuff. Back in the early days, Uther could get Divine Hurricane at level 20, and it would seriously stun the entire screen. It would stun the entire fucking screen. It was ridiculous. But as of right now, I don't really have to go back to the base. I could just continue attacking stuff to get that mana back. Usually mana issues are a big part of playing Uther, at least in my experience, they are. Let's grab these butts over here. So let's review our build right now. We're kind of, we're dealing a little bit of damage. I don't think I can get away from this. Even if I dodge one. Go fuck yourself. Oh, man, that felt good. I forgot what I was saying, though, because that really distracted me. Now, okay, I don't want to say that everything's going wrong for Uther, because I still think he's in a good spot. His rework was really interesting. And he has a variety of builds that he can do right now. I don't know if this is a build that'll actually work. I'm just kind of winging this to see how it goes. But if the enemy team does have a lot of crowd control, that opens up a lot of opportunities for Uther that he previously didn't have. For instance, he has a very high damage, high sustain Q build that he can do if the enemy team has reliable CC that he can walk into. So if Malfurion's on the enemy team, especially if that Malfurion's going for some kind of root style build, Uther can walk into those roots intentionally, lower the cooldown of his Q ability, attack that sorry, I was looking at Sergeant Hammer. Attack that Malfurion with his Q ability, dealing damage to him, but also healing ourselves back up, which is really cool. It's a really cool idea. I just kind of wish it wasn't so heavily relied on the enemy team actively crowd controlling you, because by the time most people catch on to that, they're just going to stop actively crowd controlling you. But again, with the example of roots, you can just kind of walk into that all the time. But, you know, characters like ETC or something, characters like Muradin, who target their crowd control, you know, they just stop crowd controlling you. Looks like Malthael walked up a little too close to our team. Will I be able to get the kill? It doesn't look like I need to. This team is doing great. Fantastic team over here. We can go for Blessed Champion here at level... God, that was a level 13 talent, and I took that long to take it. I'm sorry, team. Hopefully we got a rapid amount of XP very quickly, and it wasn't just me delaying that talent selection. But this kind of lends into our ability to auto-attack stuff, too. If we use our Q ability and then auto-attack, it's going to splash healing to everyone around us. So our biggest problem is our large cooldowns in between each heal, and now we can radiate out more healing. It's still relying on that cooldown, but we can also sustain that healing around us for longer than we'd be able to do otherwise. And as you can see, it's about 100 in auto attack for a couple seconds there, which is not bad at all, not bad at all. This does not apply the... Here, let's keep him alive. My bad. Sorry. This does not apply the armor effect that our gear gives off, or our trait gives off, but it is a decent way of just mitigating damage once again. Well, that was a fucking stomp. Jeez. I mean, I guess as far as an Uther game goes, that's the best I could ask for. I wish I could have shown you the synergy between Divine Shield and Dragon Blade. And I do tend to have a pessimistic view of Uther, even though he is a paladin, he is my namesake. But it just doesn't seem like he's the character for me. I like supports that can be super aggressive, jump right in, do all kinds of things. Which, I mean, maybe with a build like this, that could be a possibility. But the talents I went for today, if you want to follow along in Hammer of the Lightbringer, Holy Fire, Hand of Protection, Divine Storm, Blessed Champion, Benediction. And, well, this still hasn't changed after the rework. You pretty much have to go for Redemption every time, because that allows you to come back after you become a ghost, which I don't even think we did. I don't even think we died. So, take that for what it's worth. Uther is, again, a great character. If you're looking for someone to help your carry excel, he could be a go-to for that. But self-fulfillment and being selfish, he's just not for me. Just not for me. Up next, we are going to be taking a look at Valeera in the A through Z playthrough. Keep in mind the stealth changes are not in at the time of this recording. At the time of the video's release, it might be, because we just released Sergeant Hammer. We're a little far ahead. But bear with me if that is the case. I do want to revisit Sergeant Hammer and make another video for her, because she was massively reworked. And I do want to take a look at all the stealth heroes when that happens. Just trying to knock out this content so I have enough time in the day to be able to do that. So I hope you guys understand. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.